maybe I got you mixed up with Alyssa.
No, you're fine. Don't move.
Would have felt bad if I had like asked you your name already. Okay.
All is radio.
When I get started live on here, so I'm going live on YouTube.
Okay.
If someone could do me a big favor, once I start talking, I'll do like a check and just make sure you can like hear me on YouTube. Because like if this thing messes up, I'll upload a video with no sound.
So we gotta go on YouTube and is that what you're saying?
Yeah, if someone could just go on there real quick and just make sure that you can hear me, that would be fantastic. Let's go. And I'll just put it up here so that way none of you guys know I'm video. It just kind of shows us right here.
I think it's a microphone.
Oh, there is. Okay. All right. Anybody on YouTube? Talk again. How's it now? Can you hear me better? Can you hear my voice at all on there? Okay. No, I think it's the phone. You guys ever get it with your phone where sometimes you have a hard time charging it after you have it for a little bit? I think it's a little connection. But that's all right.
There's a delay.
Can you hear me talking on there?
Yeah, it's really low, but it's just delayed. And you can tell me oh yeah, I think it's fine.
Great, great, okay. I'm gonna bring it a little closer. Okay, check. See if that comes through. Check. Check 1, 2.
Now,
You got it? Okay. Hey, what's up, guys? How are we doing today? For those of you guys that don't know who I am, my name's Nick Salzman. One of the things that I've been working with pretty much my entire life is the paranormal. And so that has given me a really unique perspective on a lot of things. And so what I hope to do today is give you guys some information on a subject that's pretty taboo to talk about. Let's see if we can close this. Can you close that door for me, Mikey? Yeah. Thanks, man. Getting a lot of sound. Thank you. So hopefully give you guys some information on a subject that's kind of mysterious and there's a lot of fear around it. The goal here today would be able to help you step into your own power. Because if you really knew who you are and what you bring to the table, being a human, you would never, ever be afraid of this stuff. You would be grateful because you know how to help it and be of service and the work that needs to be done. So once again, my name is Nick Salzman. I do a lot of stuff with the pendulum. So one of the things that guided me with this work is learning how to identify, clear, and cross over spirits. So at first I started with the range of working with a lot of different human spirits, right? But if you look into this stuff long enough, you're going to find the other stuff that's out there, what a lot of people would consider non-human spirits. They got a lot of different names. If you're into like regular stuff, sometimes they're called elementals. If you're kind of a natural person, you hear them called nature spirits. In the Middle East, you hear them called jinn. The Bible calls them demons. They got a lot of different names. The Japanese call them the obaki. We call them skinwalkers, shapeshifters, shadow people. They got more names than they got years that they've been around. So what they are They are a product of something that happened a long time ago. And before I tell you more about them, I got to start the story to help give you guys context of this, okay? So first part of this is going to be, what are they? How did they come to be? Okay? Because I think when we just get told, oh, it's a spiritual entity, and then we don't look into it any further, it allows the mind to kind of run away with what the possibilities are. Whereas me, I like to obsess on things and really dive into the subject really, really deep. I cross-reference a ton of different sources, so that way I can try and give you guys something that I think is accurate. But at the end of the day, don't believe everything that I say is true. Take everything that I say with a grain of salt. But I will tell you this, if you do the work, tell me what you find. Because the work that I've done intensively for about the past 15 years, I'm going to give you a highlight just with the things that I found, that I think are true. So just remember that. So a long time ago, there was a creation of someone that was called Enlil. Enlil would also be considered Lucifer, the morning star, or what some people over time term Satan. Okay? And so what this was the first angel of creation that God supposedly created. I'm telling you this historical story, it's important where we're going with it. That he basically gave this angel first born angel of God. Can you guys hear me okay?
We're trying. It's hard.
Okay.
I'm reading your lips though.
So the firstborn angel of God. Everybody hear me okay?
Much better.
Much better right here?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for telling me that. So I hate to be up there talking when you can't hear it. So the firstborn angel of God, Enlil, Lucifer, the morning star, Satan, had the knowledge of God, but didn't understand how everything worked together. This would be really similar to you have a plot of land and all the power tools, equipment, and all the supplies needed to build a house. And you didn't know how to build the house, but yet here you have all the material and everything to absolutely build it, and you didn't understand how to do it. So Enlil was charged with being a caretaker of mankind, for being a guide of mankind. They were the ones that could impart celestial knowledge that would help people grow societies in a positive way. So over time, Enlil being around people, people have this thing, humans have this thing about us, it's called desire. Desire is something that is very much a human thing. It also gets animalistic to some degree. These energy beings that are supposed to be above desire start also falling into temptation. So the reason why I'm telling you this is because you would always see these people pray to God. You'd see people pray to God, and you always just kind of wonder, like, what's that feel like? What's that feel like? They're praying, what's that feel like? It was kind of interesting about it, right? Because he was the messenger, the one in between, and he couldn't quite receive that feeling of what these people were actually doing, but yet they were so committed to it, right? You could see that there was something happening. So these people were grateful for Enlil being a watcher and helping them, that they wanted to celebrate him by building this big fire for him. Well, Desire, he wanted a bigger fire than they ever built him before. This one was to be the grandest fire of all that they built, something large. And they did. They made a big fire for him, big spire is what they called it. And it got so big that it fell over. And it fell over on some of the people. And it killed some of the people, and it hurt some of the people. And he ran down there to go help hold his fire off the people and save them. Being an angel, being an energy being, people have this thing about us because we have a physical body. Our emotional energy can be produced through something tragic. He came down to rush, and being who he was, absorbed it on the spot, and it gave him a sense of euphoria, and it gave him a sense of, this is what it must feel like to be prayed to. This is what it must feel like to be prayed to. So he found a way to start learning how to manipulate our energy, pulling off people, making something, feeling it, feeding his own desire, and wanted to experience what he thought was being praised by triggering our emotional energy. Well, he figured it out. Then he started sharing it with a few of his buddies. One of them you probably heard called Azazel. Azazel is one of his buddies, other watchers. And if you guys are curious about this, the book of Enoch talks a lot about this, about being the watchers and stuff. So Azazel was the angel that taught people how to pull minerals from the earth and create weapons, and create shields, and create armor, and just that spun humans into chaos, because then we started going to war and fighting. They also started learning things that were closer to like witchcraft. They started learning how to manipulate people energetically once again for their energy, or what they would call loosh. We would just probably say emotional energy is probably what we would call it, but loosh is what's referred to as. So they started doing this, and they went even further. They were going around unchecked doing this, right? Doing it at will, and now there was quite a few of them that were doing this. And they decided that, hey, we're going to take that step further. I want to see what physical life is like. They decided to abandon their holy position from where they were at to live somewhat of a mortal life. They wanted to experience fornication with humans. This is where sometimes you hear in the book of Enoch, they talk about these angelic beings took on wives of humans because they found them desirable, right? So, not only is this something that shouldn't have been done, it was really, really bad because their position here was to guide us and help create utopia on this earth, right? That they had the divine knowledge of man, or the divine knowledge of God. Once they mixed with man, they produced something that was called the Nephilim. The Nephilim are the giants of old. This is what they talk about. So the Nephilim, even though they did have somewhat of a physical body, they had like an angelic parent to them, so that kind of made them like 2/3 physical and not quite all the way like we are. And so some of these Nephilim were good. Some of them saw us as, probably like pets to them. They took care of us, they watched out for us. Some of them imparted good knowledge on us to teach us how to build structures that would last over time and ways to use frequency and vibration, not only to heal our physical bodies, but to also repel things that potentially hurt us. So some of the Nephilim were not this way at all. In fact, those two groups were the first ones to come into conflict with each other. They were pretty much here. They had the knowledge of God. They knew how to do some crazy stuff with energy, but they also had the poison of desire of man. Those two combinations together, really, really bad. So they became something that had an appetite that was insatiable. They would eat all the plants, and then start eating all the trees, and then they started moving into the animals and started eating all the animals. And after they ate all that to imbalance, what do you think they turned to? Humans. They started eating humans. Not off topic, but anybody here ever hear about someone that's afraid of clowns? If you were to eat a bloody carcass, that blood will go around the mouth and go around the nose. Maybe that fear of clowns is a psychological imprint of things that used to eat people. We'll put that up for a note for later. So, these things had an insatiable appetite, right? They were bigger than us, faster than us, stronger than us, smarter than us, could hear you talk about them miles away and move without making a sound. They were pretty much what you would consider our worst freaking nightmare. They have 6 fingers and toes and 2 rows of teeth that make things easier to eat. And then after they started eating everything away, they started creating different beings. Some of you people might have heard like chimeras, what they're called. Or sometimes you see like the old, the little guy with the goat legs that like plays the fiddle and stuff. You know what I mean? Like some of the other stuff, it's like the centaurs, the minotaurs, the half-human hybrids, right? This is the stuff they started creating more of an imbalance here on this planet, right? So what happened? If you read the Bible, we talk about floods came. Floods came, wiped out all the giants. Something that used to be there, that's no longer there. Well, I believe the giants, some of them absolutely survived, and that they're absolutely still here today. So, the Nephilim, where do they come into this? Imagine being born knowing you are damned from the get-go. You are damned, you are not supposed to be here. And you are 2/3 of a physical being. You have the gift of prophecy and insight, and the only thing you can all see is your doom and destruction. All of you know it's coming, all of you know it's imminent, and you can't do nothing about it. They were just born here, they felt kind of a resentment, right? In the end of times, some of them really reached out to God and said, God, save us, fulfill us, really tried to embody those Christ-like aspects, which is what makes us a little different. Some of them really tried to repent and be saved. Some of them, which is actually more like the majority of them, decided to destroy this place, burn everything to the ground so not a single soul could have fun or do anything positive on this place they tried to destroy. Okay? So when they died, they were condemned to just be an angry spirit. What is a demon? That's a dead Nephilim. Something that absolutely was here before, that had somewhat of a physical presence, and isn't just something of myth and mystery. It was something that actually existed and walked on this earth with us. You hear them talk about it, there's different pictures. There's Native American tales about the red-headed giants over in Lovelock Cave. I think it's in Idaho or Nevada. Anyways, Lovelock Cave, look it up. and they would talk about dealing with these giants that were redheads, that were cannibals. And there's a lot of different stories and stuff all around about these different cannibalistic giants and stuff that people, that natives and other indigenous people came into conflict with, right? So let's get back to the physical part that they actually exist in. I'm also someone that looks into a lot of other conspiracy theories, right? Because I'm finding there's a lot of stuff that all kind of like goes with each other. One of the things that I've been into is looking at old world technology. Has anybody here ever researched Tartaria, mud flood, old world fair buildings? Anybody ever researched anything like that? Okay, well, this is all going to be really important to understand that there's structures and buildings that are on this earth that are absolutely repurposed that were built by them. We see them more as government buildings, government libraries, insane asylums that are all over the place. Anybody ever seen that massive temple that the Mormons have over there in Utah? Anybody ever seen that one? You think they built that horse and buggies and hand chisels? Hell no, they didn't. No, they didn't. This is from a realm that wasn't too long ago. In fact, they had a realm that had tons of them all around, and humans walked side by side with them. I mean, we're talking as little as 200 years ago. This is something that's very recent. They want to tell us it was biblical and it happened over 1,000 years ago, when what happened actually probably wasn't that long ago. And you look at some of our history, learn about European history when they talk about London and Paris and these giant, magnificent buildings that could hold hundreds of people, and yet people are going to the bathroom in the streets. They're literally throwing their buckets out the window into the streets. How could you build something with exact geometric proportions, completely done with marble, something fascinating, all of these fountains that knew how to navigate water through the system, and not a single person thought about building a toilet? Not one? Just kind of like, that's really interesting. Why is that? Save that for later. So when you're dealing with something that's 2/3 physical, they are an energy being. These buildings, anybody ever heard of cymatics before? Right? You put the little sand on the plate, you hit it with the violin, it creates a shape, right? So let's say you understood what frequency was responsible for perfect optimum cellular regeneration, something that can repair your body, right? Whatever that is. And let's say it looks like a certain shape. We build a structure with that shape, and then on the inside of it, make it more domed out. It's something that can reverberate this frequency, and then we're going to do even better than that. We're going to put a massive organ in it, or a giant bell, boom, that's going to reverberate everything. This was something that they used for sustenance, and they can live an extremely long time with this stuff. They didn't have to eat things anymore, so they lost the ability to have to use them. So we see this proof, but all we're told is, oh, this medieval time is a dark age, no one knew how to function, nothing, but yet we can build these massive structures and massive infrastructure and buildings that can hold hundreds of people, right? So they weren't the only ones that were around. Humans were absolutely around by then, and they had their own structures that they built as well. We would call them cathedrals. Cathedrals were never meant to be a place of worship. Never was meant to. But I'll tell you why they think that. Because when you have something with the same understanding, optimum cellular regeneration, but let's say for a human body, that frequency, you see it on the window, what we call stained glass. What that is a cymatic pattern that tells you what frequency that building is. And so when we get into that building, a lot of times they would use bells. And bells had a two-purpose thing. Anybody ever seen any buildings that got a gargoyle on the outside of them? What are we told? They're protectors, right? They're protectors, they're a good thing, yada yada. What if they were trying to tell you what that building actually does? It keeps all that shit outside. It keeps all that stuff away. It repels all that stuff. Save that note for later. So when we go into these buildings, not only does it heal us, have you guys ever seen that movie Spider-Man where he fights Venom? Anybody ever seen that? So when they get Venom around all those pipes and they hit him with that frequency, boom, it starts getting ripped apart, right? These things have an ability to manipulate the way that we perceive reality. They just know how to do it because they know our physiology. So when they show up and we hit that bell, it disrupts their ability to do that. And it repels them. It hurts them. They weren't with this. You guys ever see after World War I, World War II, all the bells they confiscated in Europe that they said were for munitions and bullets and building tanks? What if it's pretty clear who won that war? And how about all the other world wars that were started in the first place? It was never about that. It was all about erasing the past, erasing their own presence on here so that way you would never know about them. This relates to the jinn. This relates to the demons that want you to know that they're there, because even they're trying not to be forgotten. They're not trying to be lost forever. So the best thing they can do is, if they rule from the shadows, they don't have to make themselves known. They can play on our strengths. They can certainly play on our weaknesses. They know us very well. But who we are and what we are is something a little different, and something that has more feet and more worlds and brings a lot more to the table. And when you wake up to that possibility and who you are, it all makes sense why they're still here and so angry. And they're condemned from the get-go, and all you see is your doom and gloom. And you know that even when you die, there's no way that you're going to move on. You're stuck. Good luck. Sign on. Hear them say they're stuck in the abyss. This is like a question. Sorry, another article. So, with that being said, these buildings were around. They destroyed them. The bells were around. They destroyed them. You look at the old World Fair photos. Look that stuff up, like Chicago, Argentina, some of the stuff like early 1900s, and you'll see this, right? So, before we get going any further, I've talked about a lot of things. I'm sure your mind's spinning. Do you guys have any questions about anything? Nothing at all. Perfect. Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about the demons. So there's a lot of different classifications of them, and what they basically are is something that knows how to harvest emotional energy from us in a lot of different ways. It'd be no different than saying, what's your flavor, what's your appetite? Some people are vegetarian, some people like fish, some people hate seafood and would rather only eat beef all the time. Some people, like me, eat all of it. So it's the same as them. They learn different techniques, which kind of help give them characteristics. First one, how many have ever heard of sleep paralysis? Okay, I think it's a pretty common one. Sleep paralysis, that ability, that feeling where all of a sudden you wake up, you can't really move, and you can breathe a little bit, but you can't really speak, and it's really hard. Sometimes people see something in the room, sometimes they don't. Sometimes it's something that they experience in a dream. This is one way. That obvious emotion that's generated from it, fear. Fear is a very, very sought after one that they go after. But I'll tell you this, if you ever experience sleep paralysis again, if you can remember this moment, hum, see what happens. See what happens, because I guarantee you there's a connection. When you're in sleep paralysis, you're kind of out of your body just a little bit. And when you hum, you're using your mind and will to create a vibration that's in the physical body. Everything comes back together. Whatever's with you, you're going to have a real hard time sticking around. So I'm telling you, this comes down to frequency and vibration. Another thing that's would be the orgasm. The orgasm is a huge energy release. If you think of it, the energy release behind the orgasm is 100% involved with the creation of humans into this reality. It is literally what we use for creation. It is so tied to that. So this is another energy source that's there. So they can get this through a few different ways. Usually it's through some sort of dream. People have these dreams where they have like sexual feelings and encounters. This is a real common way. Sometimes it's through like people that look through like pornography and do this kind of stuff. So either way, they have a lot of different ways to generate this desire, once again, right? So that's another big one too. Anxiety, that's a huge one. Anytime they come around and people say that I have anxiety, I just say there's a real good chance that you're picking up on something that's around you that you don't realize. Because, I don't know why I feel this way. My head spins, I can't think right. Sometimes I'm like really easily irritable and stuff. And so all this stuff is all in the energy, right? And we are an energy being inside a physical body. You got little feelers going up and say, hey man, something's going on. Let's go ahead and get that heart racing real quick. Let's go ahead and make you busy. You got to sit down. Go talk to other people that aren't experiencing that. And then they'll say, I don't know, here, take these. Take these. This will help. Take these. And sometimes it'll help take away some of those effects, but I think the imbalance of it creates a stronger imbalance of it, right? Because then you got to start using this stuff more often to hopefully get some effect. So energy being, One of the things, us being people, which makes us so freaking unique, and this is the best part here, how many of us believe that we have some sort of a soul? A soul or some sort of spirit that's within us. Okay? So I'll tell you this, for those that question this, I'll tell you the story about that raindrop that came from the cloud, that got dropped down on a mountain, that eventually found a little stream and trickled through some rocks, found a little bit of larger stream, where it eventually got dumped into that entire body of ocean and sea. The difference between the two is that sea has an immense amount of drops of water in it, right? That water drop has everything that ocean or sea has in one tiny little drop. And because that little drop had no idea about that large body of water, does not negate its existence. What happens? Ether rises up, falls, and the cycle repeats itself. When we die, what do we turn back into? Ether. Ether. We let go of the meat suit and move on, okay? Take it, hang it up for later. So, what this does is it shows us that there's a cycle here. Having a soul with us, we have creative abilities. The first thing we take coming into this body is the breath. The last thing we take before we leave this body is the breath. So the breath is a lot more than just oxygen. We hear people talk about relaxation and breathing, chronic breathing, healing through the breathing, power breath. If we take our heart center and our will, which I think is tightly connected with that spark of the divine, that soul that's within us, and we decide to intelligently send it, I want to send this breath to help remove the pain, memories of pain, and to nourish this being that's in front of me. And I ask my body to be a vessel, just like most of these Reiki practitioners here. It's not my energy, but I'm using my body as a vessel to send it. And we let that go through, and we sign off with the breath. This energy is better than anything they can extract from us. Better than anything. And if they know that you know how to do this, oh, they'll still come. But their demeanor towards you absolutely changes. If they can know that they can show up freely, not be deceptive, because you'll give them something that they already want that's better than anything they wanted in the first place. Most of the time, what they're trying to do is just survive. They can't move on, so they just try and survive and kind of vampire off people. And just, this is their way known as survival. Would you condemn the mom that stole all the bread to feed her family? Well, why? She's a criminal. She stole. She stole from somebody else. What's the purpose behind it? For good. For good. So what we do is we want to use this for good. What they're more afraid of, being hurt by us, you know, having a physical body. Some people understand magic, banishing, trapping, all that kind of stuff. It's not guided by love. I would really refrain from it. But they're terrified because we can hold dominion over them in the physical body. In the dream world, they have a little bit of an advantage, but if you know what you're messing with and you see it in the dream and you go, oh hey, there you are, they get scared. They are not used to being seen. You will freak them out equally if you tell them you know that they're there and they're not ready for it. They're used to not being seen, they freak them out. So I tell you this because what we bring with this Christ spark, with the physical body, with the mind, with the breath that ties all this together, and we send it, we can create freaking miracles with this stuff. You think we just do it with spirits? This is how you can help heal cancer and stuff too, and help a lot of other stuff that's out there. But once again, getting back into our body and using everything that we bring to the table. So when they come by, give them the breath. If you're too tired, hey, I know you're there, I'm sorry. Well, look, check this out. I need to go to bed. Let me sleep well tonight. Leave my family alone. Only deal with me. When I wake up in the morning, I promise you're going to get some help. But until then, you're a guest in my house. Please be respectful. Put your parameters out there. Believe me, they're listening right now. They're having a joy of bringing this subject to the table, because what we're doing is we're stepping out of that fear, and we're starting to relate more with what guides us on the inside that some people would even call the Christ. So that will to help is going to send a lot of ripples that are out there. And not only that, you'll probably attract a few more. Now, I know what some of you guys are saying right now. F that. Right? Why would anybody want this? You know what I mean? Who the heck signs up for something like this? Let's be honest, right? But for me, I was never really afraid of the door being open, because my door was wide open as long as I can remember. As long as I can remember, there was always weird things going on, and I was the only one really experiencing them. And every time I talked about it with anybody, I always got like big eyes. Like I'll never forget when I stayed the night at a friend's house. One of my buddies, I was probably like 9 or 10, and I stayed the night with him. We eat dinner with his family, and I asked the question, how come your grandpa never comes down and eats with us? Well, what do you mean? Like your grandpa that just sits up in the bedroom every day that I'm here. He's always in the bedroom. How come he doesn't come down and eat with us? Grandpa been dead for 15 years. This picture that was on the wall, that's the fellow that I was seeing in the back. So once again, you learn real quick. Now speak on, oh, maybe I am freaking crazy. I don't know. That's it. Take everything that I say with a grain of salt. So getting back to this, our purpose, being able to help heal this stuff really pays dividends. When we start consciously using our body and start using this breath, this exercises all the muscles. I start opening up things like clairaudience, clairvoyance, strong empathic feelings, and just being able to understand things and receive information and thoughts. Just really develop intuition. It does this stuff a lot. It really helps with it. Anybody have any questions about any of that? Okay. What time is it? How much time have I done?
1:30.
Yeah, go ahead. Let's go.
Shadow men, where are they coming?
Shadow people are the same thing. Jinn, demons, shapeshifters. You know, I had a native gal I was tattooing. I'm also a tattoo artist. I had this native gal I was tattooing, and so I'm always curious when I meet people like this because I want to know what their stories are in their culture. And I'm like, hey, tell me what you know about skinwalkers. And she's all like, well, what she knows is sometimes they would have some sort of a blood sacrifice, usually killing some sort of an animal. And what they would do is use them to retrieve items. And one of the things when jinn come around, when demons come around, one of the things that they do is they like moving stuff around your house. Those keys that are always on your hook that you put up every single day, all of a sudden you can't find it and you're losing your mind walking around the house, where is it? And they're sitting right in the middle of the floor in the living room, right? So they do that stuff a lot. The nightmares is a big thing too, but smoke alarms beeping a lot in the middle of the night is another indication that they come around. But if you're like me and you're more empathic, there's certain feelings that we have when they come around. One of them, I get a sharp, it's like a pulse, like up here by the temples, sometimes even the top of the head. I'll get it, like I feel it and it goes away. The elevated heart rate's another one. The pinch in the chest, those chest pains that we get is another one too. So sometimes even it's like a shakiness that'll get in my legs a little bit when they come around from sitting. So what's most important is that we start recognizing how your body responds, because it's always trying to tell you something. It's giving you fiber optic cable to all different realities. It's giving you a little access to just knowing what's around you. It's the same thing with like dealing with like a dead person. Let's say got in a motorcycle accident, hit their head and killed themselves, and died that way. You might feel that pressure of their head because you feel a lot more than just emotions. You can actually feel the imprint of death. And if you learn how to interpret that, people will say, oh my God, how do you know? But like, dude, I don't know. But this is what my body's telling me. Because my body, for some reason, I think the body, it don't lie. The body doesn't lie. The mind can be manipulated with emotions. And because of that, I don't trust it all the time. The body always is what I align with. Because if my body knows, I don't even question this thing. This always wants to be rational. This doesn't care about being rational. It just tells you. You just learn to interpret this a little bit better. So, moving forward, these things came from the past, they're still around. This is where, I'm just going to be honest with you, it gets even weirder. But I'm going to be honest with you, it's going to get even weirder, okay? So going back to the whole energy of the orgasm. One key thing that they're really good at is posing as someone that you know or love, having sexual relations either with you or with someone that you know, and just being very out of character. Sometimes like abusive, or maybe even doing like drugs or something, or just acting out of character. This is a real telltale sign. I get people all the time saying my boyfriend can astral project and see me on the other side of the US, and of course we do this, and I'm like, I don't know if you should be open to that, because it's not what you think. Because usually it starts off as a nice thing, it's something enjoyable, especially they go after the lonely people. Because what do they have in common? Fear of being left alone, fear of being abandoned. They extract this energy and we get used to it, we welcome it, we invite it. Anybody heard of a succubus or incubus? This is people trying to talk about this. And what they have is they start saying they make this connection, right? And it's good for you and that, whatever it is, it's nice, it's not anything bad, you're like, it's okay. But then what happens is anybody that comes close to you, it goes after them. and it makes things really unpleasant in their dreams and really unpleasant in their environment, so then that way it can isolate you away from that stuff. It's isolation, but first you got to welcome it and be okay with it. So what is this? I'm sorry to say, it's not a Nephilim. This is something a little bit different. This is, like I said, this is where it gets weird. I'm just going to be honest with you. This is what I found. Take it with a grain of salt. You do the work, you look at it. How many of you guys have ever heard conspiracy theories about the reptilians? Okay. You look back at some of the Hindu cosmology, there's also things called Nagas. You guys ever heard of Nagas? Yeah. Good serpent-like spiritual entities, ones that were benevolent to people, right? There's things that are out there that are of this nature that are not benevolent to people, because one of the things that you'll hear about reptilians is that some of them also view humans as like a food source. They see us as something that they can eat. And so it is what it is. The one thing that they have in common with the Nephilim is they both believe about an existence outside of God. They both believe it because they've been existing it. So because of that, they don't inherently embody those Christ-like qualities, that soul structure, where I believe those that absolutely reach out and give everything they do in service to God develop it. The ones that don't care about that, don't care about that. So what these are, another term for them, have you guys ever heard of a doppelganger? Doppelganger is another big one, being able to see one in one person. Wait a minute, okay? I had someone reach out to me, someone in Scappoose, so not too far from me. I'm up in Hillsborough. This guy was out in Scappoose, and this dude was a rational fellow. He was an engineer, he was a mathematician, he was very freaking smart, right? Very logical, reasonable guy. He reached out to me and he said, hey man, I think I have something like a mimic in my house. And I already knew what he was talking about. I said, a mimic, okay, what's going on? He said, my daughter was playing tag with my son, or what she thought was my son, and chased him all the way into the bathroom to go into the bathroom, and he wasn't there. And then he said, okay. And then he said, okay, that night he saw his son running up and down the hall, once again not making any noise, but what he thought was sneaking in the hallway after bedtime. He went in to go scold his son for getting out of bed when he shouldn't have, and he walked in and not only saw his son sleeping in bed, but he saw another one of his sons standing next to the bed looking down over the top of him. This is what I also call the Quran. The Quran is talked about in the Quran. And these have the ability to look like people, act like people, speak like people, and most of the time, if you don't know what you're looking for, you are absolutely being affected by them. These are not Nephilim. These are dead reptilians. They once again have that keen ability to take our perception of reality and know how to manipulate it. But the one thing you'll always find is they cannot look 100% like the person. There's always something off about them. Sometimes it's their eyes, they have a real intense look in their eyes. Sometimes they have that weird little, it's like a weird, like, kind of a smirk on their face they have, right? I'll tell you one of my latest incidents with this stuff, because I get this stuff all the time, is I had this dream. I was getting ready for work or something. I was like brushing my teeth in the bathroom, and all of a sudden my wife comes walking out of the closet, and she's wearing this beautiful red elegant dress, like something you'd show up like a Hollywood red carpet. Right? It's nice. Anyways, she comes out and she's wearing this, and I was like, oh, fancy dress, what you got going on tonight? And she's like, oh, I'm going out for a girls' night. And instantly I stopped, and I looked at her, and she's brunette. She's never been blonde a day in her life, but she had these two little blonde streaks that went like this down the sides of her hair. And I said, let me guess, I can't go with you, right? And she said, no, it's only girls tonight, only boys. And I said, you know what, you guys got to do better with this. You guys got to do better than this. They are tricky, but they are not super creative. Their stuff is all the same. If we learn how to recognize it, we learn to live above their influence. Because how many relationships do you think have been destroyed because they saw their significant other having sex with somebody else, and we're going to take it as intuition, leading you further into imbalance. Learn to recognize their presence so you can learn to live above their influence. That's what this is about. You guys, some of you might be attracted to this stuff. I think it's kind of curious. Anybody here, I know we have some people in here. Anybody else like doing the paranormal investigations? We got one in here. I know I was just seeing if anybody else in here, okay? I've been doing a little bit of that too. And I'll tell you this. If you do this work and you're willing to be of service, this is the biggest part with it, is being of service, you guys. It's not about, you know, I hear people, I'm a demon slayer. I'm like, oh, damn. Or I'm a Ghostbuster. I'm like, fuck, you know. Sure, whatever, you know, makes you feel better, you know, whatnot. But what I'm telling you is you don't need none of that. You don't need none of that. Don't even put yourself out there like that. Just simply be of service. They say, what do you do? I'm like, man, get weird all the time. But I'm happy to do it, and I find fulfillment in it. And so if anything you guys can get from this is it's not for everybody, but anybody can freaking do this work. You guys already have everything you need. You know, it's like some people are born naturally good at math. Some people are born strong to lift heavy weights. Some people can run really fast. Some people are smart as heck with electronics and know how to do all that stuff. Not me, sorry, that's not me. But that doesn't mean you can't get stronger by lifting weights. You can't run more and get to be a better runner, or go through trainings to learn how to operate a computer. Anybody can do this. But the more that you get into this, I think you'll see it's more like an unfolding and less of a learning, but more like a remembering of who the heck you really are. And that's like the biggest part of this, right? You can be the flame, right, that shows the light of God that works with you, or you can be the mirror and reflect it to everybody that's around you. And God will put a nobody in front of somebody, or in front of everybody, without asking anybody about this, guys. Anybody can do this stuff. You don't have to be from some indigenous, shamanic lineage to make this okay. That is the biggest misconception I think a lot of people have with this, is that anybody can do this work. Even if you don't know, I'm adopted, I don't know where my family comes from, it doesn't matter. You are connected through the divine and are divinely here for a reason. Not only that, we're a bridge between physical and spiritual. They aren't, we are, okay? So before we go a little bit further, I want to talk about where they actually go and how does that actually work. Any questions?
What if you have multiple of those things, like the feelings, the sleep paralysis, and you don't know how to like figure all that out? Like, where would you start?
Well, I would say, first of all, where would she said if you're feeling a lot of this stuff, right? First of all, be open to understanding that what you know is incomplete, right? And I think this is where I run into a lot of issues with other energy healers, is because they have a framework of this is how things work, this is what I do. I don't work with the light, I don't work about anything else, right? And so they have a very structured way of thinking. And it's not about what you know, it's about how you do it, right? And if I'm saying I only focus on the light because deep down inside that shit scares the hell out of me, what do you think's guiding your actions? It's not your actions, it's your vibration, it's your fear. It's the fear that's behind you that's generating this stuff. So what I would say, if all that stuff's coming around, the biggest question, I work with the pendulum, right? So working with the pendulum, I ask certain questions. And when I started learning what parts of the body hold on to what emotions, and I started remembering that, like grief is held a lot in the chest and the throat, fear is in the kidneys, frustration in the stomach and liver, having a hard time with ambition a lot of time affects the pancreas, and the gallbladder is usually off balance when someone is either in fear of something trying to get them, or them always feeling like life is unfair. This is why people have these issues. If you use your body as an antenna, it'll start telling you where you're holding on to issues. And then what's that emotion? Oh, stagnation. Okay, well shoot, now that the only thing different from that is action. So when they come around, they mirror something within us. And if all we do is just clear them and move them and clear them and move them and never actually understand why they're in our lives, they are a mirror. And because of that, I'd say they're fantastic teachers. But they're teachers that I don't ever ask anything of. I keep it business, I do the work, and I help them out. I only ask questions from time to time with them because I want to make sure the stuff that I'm saying is relative and respectful. Because I want to make sure that I'm trying to be respectful about diving into this stuff, right? So, how much time do you got left? Oh, great, just enough time. Okay, so I got about another 15 minutes or so. Where do they go? How many of you guys have ever heard about Kabbalah before? Or the Kabbalistic tree of life? Kabbalistic tree of life. Or tree of knowledge, that a lot of people call it, right? So the Kabbalistic tree of life, basically it's these different spheres that they call Sephira, that in a nutshell is how God came from the existence of where God's at, slowly and surely through the different realms into physical reality, is how it comes down to, right? So there's a unique spot that's on there that isn't really talked about a lot, and it's called Da'af. Anybody ever heard of Da'af before? It's the hidden Sephira. And if you put the Kabbalistic tree of life over the human body, Da'af is right here, over the throat. When I use pendulums, blue frequency was what I found stimulated the best response with healing and clearing these things. Just out of curiosity, what color is the throat chakra? Oh, what does that even mean, right? So once again, physical body, right? Doth is the bridge point over the abyss between the physical realm and the spiritual realms. Okay? So when we use the breath, we are absolutely touching on Doth because it's coming out for us, right? So Doth is the bridgeway that gets them to go, but Kether is what you would call source, or the highest up. But the two separate that are next to it are like angelic realms. Chokmah and Binah is what this is. And I'm trying to give you guys a ton of information too quick, so sorry for not following me all the way. Watch this later for sure. They need help getting over the abyss to the higher spiritual realm that are known as Chokmah and Binah, which is, if you took it down, what is God, knowledge, and wisdom and method. It's kind of broken up between those two. It's a very complicated subject, but I'm just trying to give you guys a little nutshell approach about it. Because we have that soul, we have that breath, we can help them out, but we cannot do it alone. Doing this work will bring you hand in hand with something else that's out there that's absolutely there to help you. Some people have heard of Archangel Michael. Some people have heard of Raphael, Gabriel, or some of these other seraphim angels. And anybody know what a seraphim angel is or not know? Right? Yeah. Seraphim angels are the aspects of God. If someone said, you're a really good gardener, you're a fantastic wife, you're really good at art, you're also an animal lover, and you can also work on cars. That's cool, but which one of those are you? All of those are aspects of you as a whole, right? So like compassion and mercy and like the honor and understanding, these are all things that are emulated by it. So what we need is we need the help of an angel. The help of an angel helps get them to where they need to go. And so this is where the other part comes in. If you're going to deal with helping non-human spirits, you're going to need the help of some other non-human spirits that are absolutely there to assist you. They can go places that we cannot. And so if you choose to do this work, there's one already there. And they might have been with you for many lifetimes, but you've never even made that connection. There's one that's already there. And if you invite it into your life, you invite that angel into your life, you pray to God and say, surround me in these beings of light that want to assist me in this work. Thank you for the opportunity to serve. If we call upon this, it'll be so. The reason why I'm telling you about this is because many times the first time people encounter jinn and demons is they pose as a false guide, right? Because really they want, I wouldn't say they want help, but they found a good spot where they can just kind of extract emotional energy off you. They don't really got to move on. They just kind of get to hang out, and they don't really have anything else to do except exist. So, I mean, that's just it, right? So when we get these guys that come up, I listen to my body because it usually gives me the sensations that I'm used to, right, when we get into our body, when they come around. Don't tell me what they said. Tell me what it feel like when they said it, because that's going to tell you everything. And if you give them the opportunity to move on and say, hey, you know what? You're my angel. All right, tell you what. If you tell me exactly who you are, yes or no, that you're one of these, I'm not going to hold it against you. In fact, I'm willing to help you. If you're honest with me, I will gladly help you. Are you in pain or discomfort right now? Open that conversation to them. Direct the conversation to them. Don't ask what year did you exist, what was your name before, did you have friends, what's your favorite color? Don't do none of that. Do the work. Are you in pain? I can help you remove your pain. Would you like for me to assist you? Good. Okay? We now align with their free will. And when we're willing to help them and give them an opportunity to be honest, you would be surprised. A lot of people here don't know what they're talking about because they don't do this work. And in my opinion, if you're going to work with energy and you're going to work with spirits, do not be someone that works with spirit but doesn't work with spirits. This is where I have a ton of unpopular opinions. But I'm just trying to give it to you honest. And I'm going to tell you that many times healers, energy workers, doing Reiki, I do this stuff too. You can absolutely pull stuff on board, but you can also work with people subconsciously. The subconscious is probably the biggest part where you're going to find this influence. You can sage your house, you can put crystals up, you can put whatever blessing and salt ring around your house. You can do all of this. And then you can go to bed and travel, interact with one, wake up, it's now in your house. I can be scrolling on Facebook, once again, because I'm willing to do this work and I'm not afraid to do this work. I'm willing to do it. I can be scrolling on Facebook in the middle of the night and all of a sudden one of the paranormal videos pops up and all of a sudden you see that orb go by and I'm like, oh, what was that? And all of a sudden, now my kitchen's got some noise going in it, right? They look for ways to connect. People email me. I don't even read their message. I'll have a dream that night of being in a location, interacting with some crazy stuff in a place that's very, very vivid. Now all of a sudden I open the email and I know everything about this lady's house. And I know everything about a lot of the family chemistry and everything that goes with it because it tells me why that's there. But once again, this is what happens if you look into this work. That connection is instant. They move at the speed of thought, and they're extremely smart. And let me tell you, stubborn. Very stubborn because they want to move on between demons and between humans. Humans are harder to clear. We all have different vices. We have things we want to stick around for, especially loved ones and family members. And this is matter. Maybe they just don't even know what we're doing. That's another good one too. Whereas these, they only want one thing, and if you're willing to give it to them freely without them having to deceive you, they will be quite honest with you on who they are. If you had the biggest, scariest, nastiest monster that was out there, it was in your house, and it knew that you knew how to help it, how to heal it, and how to clear it, do you think it would ever attack you? You're its way out. It's not trying to get you to live forever. It's like, hey, I know what you can do. Help me out, but I will tell you, it will be a pain in the butt. They will be stubborn. Sometimes I make that connection, right? Hey, guess what? I'm sorry. I'm tired tonight. When I wake up in the morning, I'm gonna make my coffee. Please be quiet tonight. Be respectful. I'll help you in the morning when I make my coffee. I wake up that morning. I walk downstairs. I make my coffee. I sit down. I take that first sip. Beep, beep. The smoke alarm trips twice. Oh yeah. Sorry about that. Come on in. So if you give them your word, honor your word. Because if not, they'll keep reminding you that they're there. So at the end of the day, you don't have to fear them, but respect them. Respect them not because we're afraid of them, but because we know that their existence came from something that they were damned from the beginning. And if compassion is the way, I think this is the way that we can become more Christ-like with working with anything, human or non-human, and really develop who we are. And remember why we're here. Create balance, create unity, and help these things not bother people so that way we can think clearly and find the things that we're ambitious towards, that serves us, that gives us passion, that makes us happy, and we turn around and feed that and give it to anybody else. The best thing that you can do is show your light, give this world your uniqueness, and hopefully that inspires somebody else to do the same. You guys can tell I like this stuff. So, I know I've thrown a lot at you guys. Questions? Yeah, what's up?
So I moved into the home in the beginning of 2020, and our whole family has been affected by this weird energy that, you know, it's made noises in the night, it's ran through the house, and but it plays on our emotions, and we always fight. And I notice that when I'm away from the property, we're all fine. The moment I step onto that property, it's like, I don't know, it just taps into this very just...
Have you seen it before? Have you seen it before, either at home or in your dream?
No, because there's like a portal open in my house, and I need to close it. And
can you hear
too many. Actually,
the
other
footsteps
people.
And stuff?
I haven't, but the other people in the house did when no one else was, and everyone was sleeping. And so it was at night when it was happening. But
what door in your house? I feel like it has like one of like the little like brass-looking latches. It's like a wood door that has like there's like a latch or something that's on it.
The back door, then, yes.
Do you hear it messing with that at all?
No.
No?
But
it's the back door.
But it does run. It does run from the hallway and then all like throughout the whole house to the back door. So I don't know what that is either.
You got kids?
I do have 3 boys.
Yeah, and how are they at night?
They don't sleep very well. They hear things. They have mood swings. They have memory problems. A lot.
Well, I'm going to help you with this one. Here's the fantastic part about this. Is if you're willing to do this work and you start developing this other stuff, you can talk about it, I can see it. And when I make contact with it, it knows I can see it, and I get a chance to bring it forward. It can also be done easily with the breath, so don't try this until you're comfortable with actually doing the clearing, because if you do a breath, it can bring things to you. And so, yeah, I'm going to help you with this. Yeah, no problem. Come over to my booth when we're done, okay? Cool. Yes?
I have a question about doppelgangers.
Sure, shoot.
I constantly have people coming up to me and saying, "Oh, I saw you over here. Oh, I saw your doppelganger," like constantly. It's not something I see, but other people see it of me all the time.
Interesting. I would say, I would be curious if these same people that saw your doppelganger are also people that you guys are kind of doing like business or like doing the work with or whatnot. The reason why I say that is because sometimes I'll have people reach out to me to say like I was in their dream or whatever. I don't actually know if I'm like showing up in other people's dreams and stuff, right? But I think there might be something perceiving himself as me that says, hey, reach out to this dude. So whatever it is, whoever you're working with, there might be people that see something that's like, oh, you look like a familiar face. And then all of a sudden, you end up having a lot more in common than not. And if you focus on, if you work on any of that empathic stuff or whatever, before you try and ask questions about anybody, ask your body, what do we have in common with each other, right? What do we have in common? Why is this person talking to me right now? Just say it to yourself. And then all of a sudden you get those feelings like, oh, you know, this person feels like they're not heard as much. Oh man, they were told when they were younger that their opinion didn't really matter. That's why they speak so clearly now, with forcefully with people. Oh, soft, but at the same time, strong. Like, you can really get an opportunity to really know people. And if I know me, I know you perfectly, but only because I know myself. That's the little mind trick. But I would say it's people reaching out to you or saying that they saw you because you probably offer something that's going to help them. Put that up later.
Thank you.
If I have any other questions, guys, I know another talk's coming in here. Good? Yeah, I've heard of this, so no, I think it's definitely in line with some of the stuff I'm doing now, right? Just another way of introducing people to it. Kids, man, they're the ones that they go for. For most adults, they're the ones that are busy with life and have a hard time picking up on their stuff. So one of the 2 pocket. 4 minutes? Well, I got 4 minutes. Okay. One more question, 2 more questions. Anybody else? Yes. Oh, this new one. So thank you so much. I got just a couple minutes. So I create pendulums. This one unfortunately outdoes the majority of my other work. So doing the spiritual clearings of humans and non-humans, this does both. And one of the other things I didn't talk about today is balancing the digestive and reproductive systems. And there's a lot of different things we can talk about that. This does all 3. This is called the luminary pendulum, and I just released it. So a lot of people don't even have this one yet. So if you guys want to see one or can talk about it, the 45 over at my booth. Anything else?
Thank you.
You guys have been great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Oh, thanks, bro. Thank you for catching that, man. I appreciate that. Thank you.
That was my purpose. Got here right on time. Yeah, man, appreciate that.
I'm glad you came.
I know.
Thank you.
Very informative. I love it. Yeah, I want to learn more.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for coming, man.